What's up guys, it's Joey here for the Commander's Lair. Today I'll be sharing with you my Noyan Royal Shaper deck. So Noyan is three generic white and a blue for a 4/4 legendary creature Merfolk ally. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, you may put 3 1/1 counters on target land you control. If you do that, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature token with haste that's still a land. So basically what we're doing here is we're going to be pumping out lots and lots of spells per turn, so just casting as many cantrips as we can, both in blue and white, to just make generally one land as big as possible. It's more of a go tall than a go wide strategy, although sometimes we do have to put it on multiple lands. Effectively the game plan will be pump out one land, make it as big as possible, and then swing with it. There are some lands that we can even do to animate themselves to make them bigger, or we can make them bigger ourselves. And effectively that's the strategy. We do rely on white a lot more in the deck than you think, because blue has some cantrips, but white has also a lot of good cantrips and just 1 mana spells or 2 mana spells. So this deck is a good mix of Azorius, and it generally just focuses on going tall and swinging 3 for damage, which is pretty unique for an Azorius deck. So, as I just mentioned, those cantrips are going to be a massive part of this deck, so just casting those 1 to 2 mana spells, cheap casting, draw us a card, cycle through our deck while just buffing up our creatures is the massive part. So cards like Obsessive Search is perfect for this. It's a blue mana for an instant, draw a card, and it even has Madness where it's just blue and you can draw a card again, but if you discard it, and you pay its madness cost as you discard it, so if we do have to discard it at the end of turn, because we do draw quite a lot of cards in this deck, that's useful. Just honestly, we don't even need an effect from it, just anything that'll draw us a card. And then cards like Bandage as well. It's 1 white mana, and you just prevent the next 1 damage from any target, or dealt to target creature or player. So generally that'll just be from combat. That doesn't really matter though, because what we do have it for is the draw a card effect for 1 mana. And so, as I mentioned, they can be in white as well. And then the best cards for themes like this is Repeal. It's in the color. You can pay X and blue and return target non-permanent with CMC X or less what's on his hand, and then draw a card. So we can pay 0 and just pay 1 mana to draw a card, or we can pay up as many as we want. If there's a problematic creature that's 7 mana, we could potentially pay that. It's not likely, but we could. Also, for 0 mana, you can just target a token. So if someone has a problematic token on the board, you can bounce it. Like the new Mecha tokens, those are pretty big as well, like 10/10s. So you can bounce those, or the Eldrazi twins, or even something small like a 1/1 is not bad as mana for 1 and draw a card. So our next category is going to be like an untapping type theme, and this seems quite niche. However, we do, and it is always nice to have blockers up, and also because all of our attackers and creatures are going to be lands. Being able to untap them means we can use them again, so we can tap them for mana, or then untap them and tap them for mana again, or attack with them, which is great. 2 arms is perfect for this. It's 1 and a white for an instant, untap a creature you control, draw a card. This is great because it also has that cantrip effect, which is exactly what we need in this deck. This is one of the best cards. Brave of the Sands is a little bit different. It's 1 and a white for an enchantment, creature you control a vigilance, and then each creature you control block an additional creature. So this is more of a defensive thing, but it's just the same thing. Having vigilance means we can attack, and we can tap them for mana afterwards, or use them for blockers. It's just great. So when we're making all these creatures big, we often want to be able to punch through for damage. So you need to give them a little boost because they are just vanilla creatures. So Absent Falcon is 2 and a white for a creature human soldier for a 2/3. It's Outlast for a white, and each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on has flying. So obviously Noyan puts all those counters on the creatures, and then giving them all flying means they're much more likely to connect with damage. And honestly, this is just a great card. It sets up whichever creature we want to win. And then Halimar Tidecall is effectively the same thing. 2 in the blue for a 2/3 creature human wizard ally. When it ETBs, you return target card from the Raken from your graveyard to your hand. That isn't important. We only have 1 in this deck, but I guess that might actually happen. In a niche case, I've never had it happen though. And then land creatures you control are flying. That's what we're playing it for, because obviously giving our lands flying is great, as I've just mentioned. Genjo of the Falls is a similar thing actually. It's a blue enchantment or enchant land. You can pay 2 to make the land a 3/2 with flying until end of turn. So that's what we use it for. The 3/2 body obviously is better than a 0/0, so it gives us an extra 3 power for 2 mana, which is nice. And then obviously the flying allows us to punch through. There are also other ways of dodging combat in this deck, but flying is just an easy way to do it, like forms of unblockable. And then when Enchanted Island is put into a graveyard, you return Genji of the Falls to your hand. It's great because you can reuse it if our big creature does manage to die. So obviously a big reason people don't like this commander or the theme of animating lands in general, it's more of a green strategy but it still works in this, is the fact that a lot of your creatures die, and when your creatures die it means you lose lands, which is terrible obviously, especially in an Azorius deck because you're losing the few lands that you have. However, we've got some ways to get around that. Drownyard Temple is a good one to animate because it only taps for colors, or you can pay 3 and return it to the battlefield tapped, which is great just because 3 mana to get a land back obviously isn't a great rate, but just recurable, so if our creature does die, we can always get it back and keep building it up again. Atomic Distinguished Advocate is a white and a white for a legendary creature human advisor. Lands on the battlefield and land cards of the graveyards can't be the target spells or abilities, and your opponents can't play land cards from your graveyards. That second ability isn't really important, the first one's just nice for a little bit of hexproof on our creatures. And also, obviously, if someone is playing land destruction, it does dodge that as well, I guess. Because we do make our creatures vulnerable by making them creatures, or lands vulnerable. And Sacred Grounds is a similar thing. It's 1 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever a spell ability causes a land to put in your graveyard from play, return that land to play. So basically, just if someone kills it, it slingshots back. This is good as well because if somehow it becomes tapped, we can bring them all back again. They're untapped, so we can use them again for extra value. As I mentioned before, we do have some other ways to punch through for damage because we do have these massive creatures when we need to go away to get through with them. So cards like Artful Dodge, it's a blue mana for target creatures unblockable this turn, you can flash it back for another blue mana. And again, this is amazing because that's 1 to 2 triggers on Noyan, so that can be 6 counters as well to make things unblockable. Slip Through Space is possibly better. It's a blue mana for sorcery with Devoid, so it has no color. That's not relevant though. Target creature can't be blocked this turn, draw a card, so it's a cantrip and it gives out unblockable. So it really fits into everything we're doing in this deck perfectly. So obviously the strategy of this deck is pretty obvious. We play lots of instants and sorceries, make our creatures big, and then attack with them. However, this does have some other sub-strategies, so Talran Skysunder is 2 blue for a legendary creature Merfolk Wizard 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, create a 2/2 flying blue Drake creature token. And again, obviously, as I said just then, when we're casting lots of instants and sorceries, we may as well just get additional value. Even if it's only a 2/2, if we cast 10 spells, 10 instants and sorceries over 2 turns, that's 10 2/2s and 30 power with these 2 on the board, which is just great value. And then Thoughtworth Gambit is 4 hybrids, Azorius, hybrid Azorius for an instant, so instant speed's amazing with this. Tap creatures your opponent control and untap all creatures you control. So again, as I mentioned before, we can use this to untap for the extra land value, but mostly it's just a game ender. Your opponents have no blockers, and you have lots of massive creatures, and that pretty much always wins the game, and that's why it's one of the best win cards in this deck. And so now I just said we're amassing a pretty big board. We don't want to lose it though, however we do want our opponents to lose theirs, because just like Thoughtworth Gambit, if they have no blockers, we can punch through for damage. And sometimes when someone does get rid of our big creature, you can be left defenseless, so killing people can be a really great, or killing people's permanents can be really great. So Planet Cleansing is 3 white for a sorcery, destroy all non-permanents. And obviously because all of our important creatures are lands, besides Noyan, obviously, this really won't manage to affect us this much. Our opponents will be left with just their lands on the board, and we'll be left with just our massive creatures. So we'll be in a very good spot to win from there. This is the same as our Revelation, it's just slightly better. 3 white for a sorcery. Our Revelation has 3 less cards, they're 10 or more non-land permanents on the battlefield, and destroy non-land permanents. So it's the exact same thing, but with 3 less cards, there's more than 10, which is very likely to happen, and it's just a better version, and pretty much always will only cost 3 mana for a board wipe. And obviously a lot of this deck is just card draw because we're running lots and lots of cantrips, and that's the entire theme for the deck. However, sometimes we do find a little light on draw, and I do like putting lots of draw on my deck. So cards like Tezzeret Gambit fit really well. It's 3 and a Phyrexian blue mana for a sorcery, draw 2 then proliferate. So that draw 2 obviously is nice only for 3 mana and a Phyrexian. And then you can proliferate and just make any of our animated lands a little bit bigger. And then Fact or Fiction is 3 blue for an instant. I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. I think I put it in every deck. It goes great in mill decks, any blue deck, just draw. It's really nice. It has political implications. So you can reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Your opponent puts them to 2 piles, and you put 1 into your hand and 1 into your graveyard. So what's relevant for this deck is that sometimes we won't seem like the biggest threat because we are going to be having lands that are big, not creatures, normally. And our opponents might be inclined to help us, and just great value for only 4 mana. You generally draw 3-ish cards for 4 mana, which is an amazing rate, and there's even some selection if your opponents are nice, and you can kind of just politic them into picking the cards you want. And then Surika Spellblade is 1 blue for a 2/1 creature Surika. It's a little bit more situational, but whenever you cast an instant sorcery, you put a charge counter on it, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw X, where X is the number of charge counters on it. So it's a lot harder to connect through. However, as I mentioned, we do have some effects that give creatures unblockable and flying, so it is actually not too hard to connect with this sometimes in the right situation. So that's why I put it in this deck, even if it does seem a little bit weak. And obviously, as we're casting lots of instant sorceries, every time this connects, it will be like 10-ish cards. I've gotten it to work a couple times, and it's been really powerful and useful each time. It just is situational when you can play it or not, so it is kind of questionable. And now onto the ramp. We're playing lots of land-based ramp because we have a bit of artifact ramp, but it's not really great because these colors aren't great for ramp generally. Obviously they have lots of artifacts and they aren't bad, but for the exact specific ramps we want for this deck, it's difficult. So cards like Dreamscape Bardics are absolutely perfect. It's 1 and a blue for a human spell shaper, 1/1. You can pay 2 and tap it to discard a card, sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basics, put them onto the battlefield untapped, and shuffle your library. So this is basically a harrow on a stick. But you do have to discard a card as well. I love this card. It's very good, especially in this deck when we want lands. Although it is only basics, but still it's pretty good. And then Burnished Heart is the 3 generic for a 2/2. You can pay 3 and sack it to get your 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. So this is a bit slow, but turn 3 and 4 we can get them up before Noyan Dar. And then, because Noyan Dar does give the lands haste, we can set up our board. The attorney comes in, having upwards of 7-ish mana normally, which can be good to set us up as well. And so now onto removal. This deck is incredibly removal light, honestly. It's very, very light because we really want to do our own strategy and wipe the board, not anything to do with single target removal. I honestly haven't found an issue with it though, because normally our opponents are quite scared of us, and you kind of do have the looming threat of if you attack me, I'm going to hit you for 30 damage, which does keep them away. But Azorius Charm is a white and a blue for an instant. Choose one creature, gain life at the end of turn, draw a card, put target attacking blocking creature on the bottom of its own library. On top of his own library, so this can be a 2-mana cantrip, which is bad. The lifelink can honestly gain us 30 plus life, which is amazing. And then that on top of attacking or blocking creatures on top of its own library is pretty good actually. It takes a long time to set back up. Crib Swap is quite basic. It's 2 and a white for a tribal instant shapeshifter with Changeling and exile target creature. Its control gets a 1/1 color shapeshifter creature token with Changeling, so that 1/1 obviously doesn't matter. In 3 minutes, kill spell isn't too bad, and that's most of the removal we're running in this deck. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This will conclude my Noyan Dar deck. This is the full deck. It is pretty interesting, I believe. If you enjoy cantrips, you'll definitely love this deck. It is a whole lot of fun, and it's honestly really enjoyable to pilot. There's a lot of politicking that goes on, a surprising amount in this deck. However, the main themes are pretty obvious, and I really do appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could like, subscribe, show the channel to a friend, leave a comment, or as I have said before, if you'd just like to give me a deck idea, or a theme, or a commander, I will build the deck for you, and I will post the video, and I'll give you a shout out if you'd like. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next